Gracias a todos. ¡Viva México, cabrones!
All right, guys, we're back. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy CMB checking in. And guys, we're going to talk a little bit about Canelo Alvarez and what should be next for him. You know, there's a lot of talk going on in the boxing spaces after taking that loss to Terrence Bud Crawford this past weekend on Netflix. Now, let me say this. Canelo Alvarez fans are taking his loss really hard. There's been anger. There's been sadness. Just a roller coaster of emotions with the fallout of him losing the fight. And it's quite understandable because, you know, Canelo Alvarez has been a driving force in the sport of boxing for the last 10 years. So people are, you know, they're just going to be upset about him losing this fight. But I will say this, Canelo Alvarez did not make any excuses for his loss. He was humble in defeat. He gave Terrence Bud Crawford his props. And to me, even though he lost the fight, that makes him a winner in my book. No excuses. He went in there, he gave it his all, and he came up short. And, you know, sometimes that happens. You know, this is not the first time Canelo Alvarez has actually lost a fight. So I would say, you know, Canelo Alvarez is a, you know, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. And he's done a lot in the sport of boxing. You know, he's a 4-division champion. He's a 2-time undisputed champion. There's not many that can say that, you know, in this game. And he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. You guys know that. Now, what should he do next? You know, should he rematch Terrence Bud Crawford? And let me say this. Personally, I would say this. I really did enjoy the build-up to this fight. I enjoyed the big fight energy surrounding this fight. I enjoyed the fight itself. But in all honesty, I just don't think that's something that Canelo should revisit. And the reason I say that is because, you know, he is who he is right now at this point in his career. You know, I don't think he's going to be able to ever match the footwork of a Terrence Bud Crawford. I just don't think, you know, he's not going to be able to match that quickness because, you know, he is who he is now. You know, he's not a spring chicken. He can't just change everything all of a sudden. So I just think that's a fight he's never going to win. So no, I wouldn't. If I'm Canelo, I'm not getting back into the ring with Terrence Bud Crawford. The same with Bivol. I just don't see him beating a fighter that is very technical like that. He's always had issues with technical fighters. Floyd Mayweather, Bivol, Terrence Bud Crawford, even Erislandy Lara. Those aren't the type of guys that he does well with. He fights better with guys who are going to sit there and trade with you in the pocket. You know, there's some fighters that are better at that. There's some fighters that are better with footwork and lateral movement. And he's just not one of those guys. Now, do I think he should retire right now? I would say if he's done in his mind, yeah, he should retire. But I don't think he should retire. He has, I think, 2 more fights left on his contract with Turki Al-Sheikh. And I think he should take advantage of those fights. And 2 people I would like to see him fight, and I think the fans want to see. Number one, both of these fighters are at 175, of course. I think the David Benavidez fight is something that people still are interested in. And in all honesty, I think that's a fight that he has a better chance at winning than with a Bivol or a Crawford. Because let's face it, although David is a monster in the ring, although David throws a lot of punches, he's not going to use a whole lot of lateral movement. He's not going to be that type of fighter. He's going to be the type of fighter that sits there and trade with you in the pocket. And that's great for a guy like Canelo Alvarez. That's tailor-made for him. Now, whether or not he wins that fight, I think it comes down to who has the most dog in him. But I think that's a winnable fight. And it's an opportunity, if David is still the WBC champion, for him to become a 5-division champion before leaving this sport. So I think that's something he should entertain. But we'll see. Now, another fight I wouldn't mind seeing, I think would be pretty much tailor-made for him, is the former undisputed champion Artur Beterbiev. Artur Beterbiev, he does have pretty decent footwork, but he's not as technical, I would say, as a Bivol or a Crawford. He does have a lot of power, so that's something that Canelo needs to be aware of, and it's another fight, in my opinion, of who has the most dog in him. And I think Canelo does have an advantage in that fight in a sense, because Artur Beterbiev is over 40 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, those are two fights that I would personally like to see him in. I just don't think he should take his ball and go home yet, unless he's done. If he's mentally done with this, and he's made a lot of money. I think he made over $150 million with this fight. Yeah, take your ball and go home. But if you still have some fire in your belly, I think those are two fights that a lot of people will respect, his peers as well as his fans, to see him in. Win, lose, or draw, in my opinion. But anyway, that's all I got to say, guys. You guys let me know what you think. Do you think he should revisit the Crawford fight or revisit the Bivol fight? Do you think he should retire, take his ball and go home? What do you think about my picks at 175? You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. It's the CMB. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.